And so what he does, he actually grabs my hand, shoves whatever's in his hand in my hand. And he's like, I really would appreciate it if you just took these samples, and says it like that. And literally clasps his hand over mine. I don't know what you think you're doing right now, but I'm gonna need you to leave.
They turned a dispensary into a provisions brand and rewired how retail cannabis actually sells. I'm Jason Reposa. After 25 years in tech and cannabis, I host Site Functioning to show it actually works.
We don't like the word reciprocal. Our pushback is we don't like reciprocal. We'd like to do partnerships.
Today's guest is Hennessy Shaw, Director of Sales and Marketing at Buds Goods and Provisions. She has spent over a decade inside retail cannabis, helped build one of Massachusetts' most recognizable store experiences, and now runs wholesale strategy from the buyer side with real data, not theory. We get into how Buds designed stores that move product, why trading beats discounts, and how pre-roll party packs took off, and what brands still get wrong when pitching retailers.
Yeah, at similar price points, it will sell 5 times more in our pack.
Wow, this is real strategy over hype, and let's dive in.
I'm Hennessy. I go by Henny. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for Buds Goods. We have 3 awesome retails and a production facility here in Massachusetts. We've been established for 5 years, so we're just rocking and rolling here. We were founded in Worcester, and we have a location in Abington and Watertown.
I've been to the Watertown one. You guys do an amazing job on your interior spaces. So first and foremost, do you have like a designer? Is it in-house? Did you hire like a freelancer to come in? Like who's in charge of like doing the spaces?
Oh, it's all in-house actually. So we have a creative director. Her name is Jess. She is amazing. She actually started with the company, was one of the first few employees. She does all of the art. We actually have another person. Her name is Kaylee. So she's a second creative graphic designer as well. So pretty much it's just a team of 2. All of the amazing art, whether it's the package design, the wall arts, the displays, the murals, you name it, is all done in-house. Just a team of 2 people.
What was the inspiration behind that kind of theme? Because I noticed it really is provisions in a sense. It has that feeling like I'm on a trip to Vermont. I'm going to stop off at this cool looking spot and I'm going to get provisions. I'm going to get my cheesy crackers for the, whatever. I don't know, my wine and whatever.
Yeah, it was meant to be kind of like all encompassing, right? So like, you have your goods, right? Like the Buds Goods is like, your bud and like your good stuff. But provisions was really to expand upon everything beyond weed. So what we have like our Buds Goods apparel room. So in our Watertown store is really like that Buds Goods concept store. So when you're walking in there, we have a room for everything. So when you first get in there, you went into the porch, which is where we check in and get the IDs. Then you're going to enter into our pantry, which is just our edibles room. So everything's on display from every type of edibles category. It's kind of like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, which is really awesome. Then you're going to walk into our library, which is every type of smokable product. So vapes, flower, concentrates, then Bud's Closet. So that's where I would say is like the provisions. So anything that's really not a cannabis product. We also sell snacks. So that's where I feel like the provisions kind of gets into it. So back to your point.
I was going to say, is that new for you guys or has it been around?
So a little bit of history there. Prior to the new regulations that just got approved.
New regulations just got approved.
Yes. We were definitely cited before the regulations were approved. We did sell snacks. We got some deficiencies for that. So we're a big proponent of asking, well, can this be added to, obviously the ballot and getting, approved for that being part of the regulations. So we were a huge proponent of asking that to be back in the regulations. So we're so glad snacks are now on our shelves officially, safely, compliantly. But before we were selling snacks and we got deficiencies for that. So we have to take them off.
Because there was no guidance around that. I think it kind of just all similar.
It was
like, if I'm
area.
selling stuff, I can sell a snack with.
And we did sell stuff that was like under $3. It was packaged. We would log it. We had an expiration date. So we looked at like, the state laws of like, hey, it's, individually wrapped, state, sealed. It wasn't over a certain price point. Otherwise we need, I don't know the exact, food service, laws exactly like that. But we had our financial controller look into it to make sure it was in the, right boundaries of like, hey, we don't need a food service license if we're selling food products over a certain price or certain food types, right? So we did our due diligence and the, regulations didn't have anything specifically outlined that it was a no-go. But when we did have a inspection, they said, what are you doing? Why are these on your shelf?
That's so interesting because I feel like, how did they know to enforce that?
Right.
if it wasn't in the regulations?
It was kind of one of those things where it's like,
Opinion.
yeah, it's just an opinion. It's like, well, we were going to take the risk, right? And it wasn't a cannabis risk. So we're like, hey, it's not
Right.
that big of a risk. So we kind of were like, hey, we're willing to take the risk. It's a small type of risk where it's not cannabis related. And we were doing it for, I would say, about 6 months. And it was just, easy revenue, right? Snacks are so cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cannabis. We're not taxing people, the 20% cannabis tax.
Right.
And, people love Reese's Cups, right? Who doesn't love a gummy worm? And it's so easy to add on.
I was going to say, because it's not like you're exorbitantly charging people either, right? It's just like, it's an easy add-on.
Yeah, it's like $1.50.
You're going to go get your pre-roll.
Yeah.
Let's go add some Skittles too, whatever. I don't know what
Yeah.
they're selling exactly. Actually, what were the big sellers, or what are the big sellers in snacks, actually?
Reese's Cups are our number one. So
Really?
we always had that. We'd have like Nerds Ropes, super, super popular.
Yeah.
We did play around. So each of the stores did have different types. So we did have to go through like a little bit of a health run. So we had like those Sahale snacks, like different types of ones. We did do some Kind bars, not as popular. So we did peel those back. No one wants the healthy snacks, we realized.
That's
Everybody wants like the super non-healthy name brand, like Reese's. We did try Cowtails. People really like the Cowtails, like the
Okay.
Big League Chew Gum,
Oh,
things
wow.
like that. People like some like those old nostalgia stuff. Like the High Chews, really popular.
I choose.
Yeah, so those were really popular, but the Reese's fly off every single time. We can't keep those in stock.
Well, I guess now you get into the psychology of the consumer,
Mhm.
right? The consumer's walking into this store, they're getting their pre-roll or their eighth or whatever, or hopefully some good vibes.
Right?
So and they see like Reese's, you're like, oh, I'm treating myself here.
Yeah.
Let's go get another treat, right? I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think there are some unique snacks out there too that I think it's almost like the idea you don't necessarily want to have the same as the corner store bodega would have. You sometimes would have something sometimes unique too, right?
Right.
So I've heard of, I think Comcan does a good job at this when they have like the Japanese snacks,
Right.
like that are imported, and there's like all these like interesting snacks that they have.
Exactly.
So it has to be, I think, unique too to a certain extent, but it also has to be super like crunchable, like yum, you know?
Exactly. And we've like expanded on that. So like now we are looking into that. We have some people that have worked with like our chief of staff. She has a friend who owns like a unique beef jerky company out of Worcester. So
There you go.
we're looking into expanding in like some niche areas that like we have like, some, interests of ours that like, we all buy it. We love it. Or the customers love it. And we all know that with cannabis sometimes too, right? We have our own preferences. And it's like, hey, we know what good weed is, but do the customers love it? Sometimes it's not the same.
There was somebody giving away beef jerky at the Harvest Cup, I think.
Really?
It was in Worcester. I wonder if it was the same person.
Oh, it might have been.
They were like, hey, you guys want some beef jerky?
It
And
could have been, honestly.
they were going around table to table asking.
It might
about
have
beef
been,
jerky.
honestly. Yeah, it's definitely because, especially for the locality, it might have been actually probably the same person.
Oh, that's wild. So for people who haven't never worked in retail cannabis, what is the single most fundamental thing that people misunderstand about retail cannabis?
Oh gosh. Well, it's honestly, it's a job first, right? People always think like, oh my gosh, it's the weed industry. It's going to be so easy to do. No, first of all, no. It is, very structured. There's, a lot of regulations and rules to do that. So it's just like any other job, and it is very, fun. And I think, with the right people and the right mindsets, it can be so next level, so amazing. But it takes work. And I think that people don't know that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And did you, when you first got into the industry, were you like that bright-eyed kid who was just like, I can't wait this is weed and we're selling it, it's gonna be fantastic. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is retail.
So I started in the industry 12 years ago when it was medical in Rhode Island. So it was so different because when that was medical, it was just a small little nugget. There was literally one dispensary, no marketing, no nothing. And it was just patient only, right? There was no rec. There was no access to the rest of the world. And that was when actually people could grow their own weed as caregivers. Caregivers could sell to patients and caregivers could even sell to dispensaries back then. So it was such an interesting time. And back then I was actually an executive assistant to the CEO. So, the world was my oyster then.
Yeah.
I looked at everything and I wanted to learn everything. So yeah, I was like, you can do anything at that time, right? So I took that opportunity. I was like, if I can learn every single job I can, that's where I see myself as valuable. And I think now people come in and I think they go, I just want to do this. And they come in and think, okay, I just want to get in and I just want to work, 2 days. And then I think I'm going to be an inventory manager. No. You need a grind. You need to sit there and you need to take your time, learn your role first, and understand what that role is. And then, okay, ask questions. What does that take to be this role? But ask, what is that other role? Because you may like pigeonhole yourself and think you want to be an inventory.
I feel like that's a common thing that I see is people think they have this grand vision of what their job is going to be in the future, whether it's 3 or 5 years out, and they don't realize that maybe they get a skill set for something totally different they haven't even looked at yet.
Yeah.
Because there is, in some operators obviously work differently than this, because I was going to say a broad statement about this, but it's not true definitely everywhere, which is, there is in certain places a meritocracy where it's just like, if you're grinding, you're putting the hours, you're trying to learn, you're trying to get better every single day, these opportunities open up because, I know retail has a lot of turnover, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But besides that, it's like, if you want to get into inventory, for instance, those jobs may not come up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many inventory managers, right? So it's like you shouldn't pigeonhole yourself too soon. But you raised another actually interesting point that I wasn't even thinking about, which is that like when you first get into this industry and you have these grand visions, we're in 2026 now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still get people coming in who are just like, oh my God, we're selling weed and all this other stuff?
A few, yeah. I love those people.
Yeah.
I love that. Those are my favorite. I'm like, yes, never forget that moment. Never forget that, because I remember what it was like to feel that when it was so new and alive, because it's like now, people come in the industry like, just like the consumers, right?
You're like,
weed is whatever, it's everywhere now, so if anybody does have that moment, like, this is amazing to work here. Like, we're so lucky to have these jobs. We're selling weed, guys. And anybody that comes every day with just that energy and just so happy to be around it, just like, you're such a precious gem. And I hope you never lose that. Just, I want to clone you. Exactly. So, they're just like these precious little nuggets you just want to protect and just have a million of them. So, no, I just want more of those people. But, I think we need to find more of that energy and replicate it across the industry, because I think a lot of us, got jaded and, there's so much struggle. And, we all it's now normal, right? Weed is accessible. It's everywhere. Medical, rec, you can get weed in any format from anyone now. It's no longer where you had to know a guy and, get it in a parking lot or go to someone's house and you have to wait and it's on someone else's time and it's not just whenever you want it. So it really is, in the palm of your hand at any time. So that really changes people's excitement and this energy around it. And also it's just, in every conversation, it's normal now. You can smoke anytime, anywhere, especially like generally, obviously, the consumption laws now, like lounges are going to be a thing.
Consumption laws,
So that's also a new thing, which is really, really crazy. So when you find those few people who are so excited to still want to be in this industry and have that, like, that's the people you want to put in the front of the line of those customers. Because when you get those customers who find those people who are so excited, like, I think that'll bring that energy back on that sales floor again, too.
Do you guys, like, how are you guys, are you part of the hiring process? For some of that stuff?
So,
I know you were in retail.
Right, yeah. I just transitioned to the wholesale side of it. But before, yes. So many years, I was a part of all the hiring process.
So in the hiring process, like, what's a good way to determine if that person is like that type of person who has that passion?
I ask a lot of different like personality questions. So I like to like frame little like scenarios too. One of my favorite questions actually to ask is a 2-part question. So I like to ask, if I was to gather your friends and family in a room without you present, and I was to ask them these 3 things. The first thing would be, what would they say your best 3 qualities are? You wouldn't be in the room, but what your best 3 qualities are. And then what would be 3 things they say you need to improve upon. And it always gets people thinking. And it's always really interesting what people unveil. Some people are very, word vomit, and they go, oh man, they would say like, I need to work on, my attendance, or I really doubt myself, or like, I always am like the first person to help. And I never put myself first. And like, I really love just like showing up for the team. Like, it's really like forthcoming, honestly. And then some people are like, oh wow, that's really tough. I don't really know what to say. And then you're like, well, that's really, So it's really very telling of what people share in those moments. And also like self-reflection too, like what people really, take the time to like reflect on themselves, of like also their awareness of what people think about them and what they think on themselves too. So like, that's one of my favorite questions to ask.
It's great because it's a self-reflection ultimately, because I think people who can reflect on their own kind of like life and what they need to work on and stuff like that, I think they're ahead of most people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just want to be like, this is a job. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to leave. And I don't really have any more depth than that. Is that
right? It's emotional intelligence. It really is. You got to gauge emotional intelligence. Maturity is different. Doesn't matter how old you are. Maturity is something that we're looking for. Emotional intelligence, age is just a number,
So how do brands engage with stores, with your stores, for instance? I know we're going to get to the wholesale side of it too, but since you just came off the retail side, I'm so curious.
Yeah.
What are some do's and don'ts, I guess you might say, of the brands?
Oh, I love when people, really, especially when brands like engage top to bottom wholeheartedly. I love when they come in and do active in-store trainings with that. Like my favorite time is when, so I started with Buds as a general manager. I was a general manager for so many years. So when I started with Buds, Abington wasn't even open yet. So I got to, see it from the build out, build all the SOPs out, hire all the staff, do like the hiring things, decide like, hey, here's where I want to put the POS stations. Here's what we want to do for every, which name that, how I want to divide up the teams, station everything. So once I picked my staff and got everything, I was like, okay, how do I want to train everybody, right? Who do I want these brands? Who do I want to come in and do that? Who do I want to be the first people to come and actually meet and greet my staff, right? So I had cornered off a whole week and actually scheduled all these brands to come in. I had like pretty much 9 to 5 days for my staff for the first week before openings. And I had scheduled off like 30-minute nuggets before, like little lunches and I had brands come in and do like 30-minute trainings. I said, here's a TV, here's a room. I want you to just pretty much run on my staff, have a training, whether it's like handouts, things like that. And some people really came in and showed up and they were engaging. Like they had people come up and like do like activities with them. They had like pass out stuff. They like swagged out, like literally like little like kind of like skit things with us, like showing them like, hey, come up. I'm gonna like let's do like a little scenario like as a customer interaction. Like here's how you would pitch to my customer, and like here's like a thing like. Yeah. It's really cool. They brought the displays with them. So we were able to put the displays up in our actual dispensary prior to our opening week. So it was a great moment where we got to do the live training. PAX was one we launched with PAX. So everybody got to, on their phone, do an assessment after the training. After that assessment, they all earned a free sample product that we were able to got sent through us through Metric, and they got cashed out, which was really fun. So things like that where, different levels of it, whichever it was. But I love when they get that face-to-face training with whether it's that brand rep or that account manager. They get to meet that person that, us as buyers or retail managers are already, we work with on the daily basis, right? So it's like we already have that rapport and relationship with the staff. Getting to meet that person that, us as that higher level people already know, to them, those are like the rock stars, right? It's like when you get to meet the band. That's those moments that they live for. And when the staff get to have those moments, they get so gassed up and they talk about that for weeks, for months. They remember those training moments, right? Yeah. And then they take that to the sales floor. Then they're so lit up and they're excited. So then when they're selling, they feel empowered.
Right.
And then
they're talking about PAX. They're like,
PAX, right? Or Good Vibes and all these other brands. And then you see that translate to effective, education experiences. And then that translates to better Google reviews. And we've had consistently 4.9 to 5.0 Google reviews 5 years in a row for all of our stores. And we incentivize our bud tenders with free weed for positive Google reviews. And literally, it's just so easy. But a lot of it is backed in all Google reviews say, wow, they were so knowledgeable. And it's not like it's fake. It's just because, hey, we lined them up with really good educational training. But we made sure like, hey, if this brand comes in, that they did a good job. But I also make sure, hey, if you didn't do a good job, I'm going to email you and let you know.
I was going to say, let's talk about the other side of that, though. So what are brands, when you're thinking about like, obviously don't mention any names here because you don't want to throw anybody under the bus here. But like, if you think about brands you've engaged with in the past, kind of like, what are some of those, like, I don't want to call them horror stories, but like, what are some don'ts? Like, where you're coming up to me at NECAN or Flower Expo or whatever it might be, and Harvest Cup, and you're like tap me on the shoulder and you start pitching me your brand and all that. Who knows?
Gosh,
you probably get approached all the time.
Oh gosh, constantly.
I mean, that's just one aspect of like, I think that's pretty obvious. Do not do that.
Yeah.
But like, what kind of stories do you have around that?
Oh, I have really one interesting one too. Very non-compliant story. I'll never forget. I got called down to the lobby in Abington that someone was trying to pitch a brand. and they weren't sure if it was a brand in Massachusetts that existed or not. And so my staff was really confused. So I came down, and now Abington is a 3-story, so there's 3 floors. So I had to run down, and my office is on the 3rd floor. So I run
offices.
So the retail's on the 1st floor. Our fulfillment, where we actually store our inventory, pick and pack the orders. We have a chute where we drop things out. It's actually really fun. Yeah. So I love doing that stuff. We actually have like little chutes that we drop the products down, and then our security and like other office areas on the top. So like I have to run down some stairs. So like I get there, I'm like radio call. I'm like, all right, on the way, and I'm like down the stairs, right? So I'm hustling down. So I'm like, all right, what's the problem? So I see this guy, and he's acting a little like off. He's like, are you the manager? I'm like, yeah, what's going on? Like, how can I help you? So he's like, oh, I got to talk to you about this product. So he's switching thing, but he's like doing this kind of like really erratic, like bit bop around. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what's going on? So he like hands me things. He's like, all right, I got to hand you something. So he's got like something in his hand, and I can't see what's in his hand, but I'm like, keep him to like back away. And he's like, keeps trying to shove something in my hand. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what's in your hand, but I'm all set. If you want, you can just leave the papers on the counter. But he keeps saying, no, I would just like to give you this. And I'm like, I'm all set. I really appreciate that. I don't know what you're trying to hand me. And so what he does, he actually grabs my hand, shoves whatever's in his hand in my hand. And he's like, I really would appreciate it if you just took these samples, and says it like that. And literally clasps his hand over mine. He's like, you're going to want to try these. And like very aggressively. Now this is like a grown man. I was going to say grown ass man, but yeah, grown ass man grabbed my hand, is like clasping it like this. So now we're in an actual little vice grip here. My staff's looking at me. I'm looking at him, and I'm like, it's kind of like that moment frozen in time. I'm like, dude, what do we do here?
Oh my God.
I literally said, sir, I'm going to need you to take that outside in the parking lot. I can't take this in here. I don't know what you think you're doing right now, but I'm going to need you to leave. And I literally was like, I'm going to need you to leave. So I literally took my palm, forced it back in his hand. And I was like, I'm going to need you to leave right now, or before I get you escorted off the property. He's like, what's the problem? What's the problem? I was like, I can't take this. This is not compliant. I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know who you work for. I need you to leave. So I had him literally walk out the door. I literally looked at the papers. He was selling Delta 9 gummies. Wasn't even a brand. Wasn't even a brand. I couldn't even tell you the thing. I had torn up that paper. I literally didn't even check his ID because we didn't even let him in. So
he was in like the patio. Whatever.
Yeah, it was like in our check-in box. Yeah. So but I was just like, if he comes back in, don't let him in the building. But it was one of those things. He literally was just trying to like force his product in my hand. He just wanted me to try it. But I was like, I've never had someone be so aggressive.
To grab somebody like
yeah.
That. Was it like a well-known brand after the fact when you looked at it? Was it some like
just like some random thing? He was just such an erratic person. But I've had other people do that too, like known brands too, where they brought samples in the dispensary and tried to like hand it to me on camera, which I'm like, well, what are we doing here? Is this your first rodeo?
Yeah, exactly.
So that happened to me numerous times, so which is like shocking as hell. Which like to me, I've always like told people, I'm like, hey, there's a thing, like, everybody knows them. Like, you can't do that. Compliance is compliance. Yeah. So that always surprised me too when people like come in and I'm like, hey, I got some stuff for you in my pocket. I'm like, whoa. And I always feel like, is there cops here? Like, what's happening? Am I being punked? Ashton Kutcher's in the back right now. So
it's Ashton Kutcher. It's like executive directed Travis Ahern, like on a camera, be like, what's gonna happen?
Waiting for someone to come out of the ceiling right now. But yeah, so like that always has blown my mind when people who've like established in the industry, like, I know this isn't your first job in the industry and you're coming in as like a brand rep. And you're like, yeah, I got it in my pocket right now. And I'm like, well, you just walked to my dispensary and you're trying to hand me something. But that guy was the most aggressive. But like, I'll give him not like a pass on how he acted, but he didn't know compliance because he wasn't in the industry.
He wasn't in the industry, right?
But I'm not giving him a pass on how he treated me.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Wow. I think that goes to show that retail is retail still.
Mm-hmm.
And because you hear stories, maybe not to that degree, but definitely, there's definitely cases of that with any other industry too.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like, think about like liquor stores, people coming in drunk and try to buy some stuff and stumbling all over the place or whatever.
Stories for days.
Yeah. So, but the point is, like, it's so funny because it's still retail at the end of the day. And I've actually heard horror stories where somebody came in, just a little bit off, tried to buy product, but they denied them. I'm not going to name any stores' names or anything like that. And then the person left the dispensary. I think it was a dispensary. and then like proceeded to like climb the fence or something like that, and like got caught
Oh my gosh.
and was like bleeding and stuff like that. They had to call an ambulance for him and stuff like that. It's just like you dealing with the public is scary to me.
Yeah.
I like being just a brand. I don't have to deal with the public ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough sometimes. Like we've always had some interesting situations. Buddy system, buddy system, buddy system. We never go out alone. Yeah. Always do. Even if it's broad daylight, we always walk out in pairs to address a customer issue if it's outside of the building, because you never know.
That's good practice. I think that's smart. That's super smart.
Yeah.
Switching it on to, so since retail, you've left that world.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
It was a hard choice.
And now you're on the sales and marketing side of things. And sales, we mean wholesale sales.
Yes.
So now that you have all this experience with retail, obviously, going to the wholesale side, you know the do's and don'ts, obviously, of approaching buyers and stuff like that, or even going into stores. Are you like boots in the ground, like driving all around the state kind of style?
A mix of it. Yeah, a mix of it too. So I have a sales account rep who is really like my boots on the ground too. So I am myself as well. But I'm also doing a lot of the strategy and also like our head of our marketing and product development too. So I'm also determining, what is the next, product line that we need to come up with too. What is the gaps in our offerings of our product lines? So I'm on my 3rd month right now of my new role. So evaluating what's next for the phase of Buds Goods Wholesale. What are we, offering, but also determine, all of our promos for our retail and also what, we're doing for the buyers. I help coordinate all of the, meetings for that, making sure that every type of client that we have is just kind of evaluating everything that we've done in the past for them and revisiting what can I do now. I'm just really taking time to see what we did last year and just taking the time this year to change it up. So because just really making a reset.
I was going to say, it seems like you're set up for success here because if you think about it, like marketing is the expression of the brand on, online or wherever in store. And then the wholesale sales side, obviously those are very related, but almost related through product development, right? So it's like, what's selling? What are we able to sell to the buyers? What are the buyers asking for?
Right.
Going back, doing the product development and seeing if there's an opportunity, and especially if we can market this and make it successful. What's the biggest challenge right now? Like if you think about your product offering?
So definitely for like the biggest challenge I think right now is just bandwidth, really, and big ideas and just like. We're all people, right?
Resources
and time, and it's just really like right now it's just getting the time to do it. I'm just one person and I'm only 90 days in. I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to do this, that, and that. And it just gives the time to do it.
Big ideas, right? And there's so much opportunity still, but it really is like you have to kind of 80-20 it, where it's just like, what's the 20% effort that's getting me 80% of the return, right? Yeah. So it's like, what are the specific product types? For instance, I know you guys do pre-rolls and stuff like that,
yes,
right?
We do pre-rolls and flour right now. Flour for like slit, non-vertically integrated operators.
Oh, okay.
So, so we do 14 gram and 8.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And your pre-rolls, do you guys do like the little dog walkers or whatever they're called?
We do our little J's. So we do little J's and we have party packs, which is a half ounce of half a gram pre-rolls, which are really exciting. Those are our best sellers on wholesale right now. So we have...
So that's 28?
Yes, 28 pre-rolls, half grams. Fun. So we have single strain and 2 strain party packs. So it's 14 and 14 are dual strain ones, which is actually just launched end of October. So that's actually been our number one seller since that launched. They fly off. So that actually has been one of my favorite ones too, because you can either get, sativa and indica, indica and hybrid, what have you. It's like really cool because we actually feature not just 2 strains, but 2 cultivars.
Well, I was going to say, like, what's the selection process like? Are you putting your product development hat on? Are you going to different cultivators and trying to figure out like what to do? Or is it just like your own? Do you guys grow also?
No, we don't grow. We're curators, right? And I think that's the other beauty of it, right? Is, we have, no skin in the game and we don't have, no set like agreements with anybody. We don't, have long-standing, deals with anybody because we want to be true curators and true, honestly, like we're here for the people, and we're about to be serving good buds to everybody 24/7, 365. So that means that like we're always going to be looking for the best bud. And if someone continues to not be growing the best bud, that means we're not going to continue working with them. So like right now we brought on, some different new cultivators like CMS Gardens and stuff like that. We've worked with Mac in the past and like Local Roots. So we're constantly evolving and growing and changing of who we work with and bringing on new ones. Like we have Twisted Growers. So we have so many different cultivators that we bring on and work with, but it's also always changing and flowing depending on the quality too.
Right.
I think that's also the beauty of it too, is like, I think us not cultivating means that, hey, if it's not up to our standards, we don't have to sell that. We can always say, that's not what's quality.
Is that where you get consumer trust?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where we get consumer trust, and where it's like the stamp of approval, where it's, so you see that Bud's thumbs up, that's that stamp of approval right there, where consumers know, hey, if it's been Bud's tested, tried and true, that people know that they're going to buy our product. And also we've seen, especially with our packaging and branding, a lot of times we've bought products where we've had it where in our Bud's product and also in people's own, third party, their packaging on the shelf at similar price points, it will sell 5 times more in our package.
Wow.
Because people know us as the curators. They know it's been vetted, and they've seen that with other brands and cultivators that they know we've had that successful track record. And it's not that we push it more, we do anything, we don't do any different branding. We do the same marketing over and over again. And I think it's just that perception. We've won awards for that. We've won awards for being a good retailer. We've won awards for being our packaging. We've won awards for us just being good buds. And I think that just has that stand of that for being community of choice.
Yeah, because I always think about like, it's easy to get the first sale. It's hard to get the second sale.
Right.
Right. So if you're selling 5 times faster than the competitor, you're going to continue to get those sales, because pricing, discounting, and all this promotional stuff can only get you so far.
Exactly.
Because they still got to come back and buy your product. So if you strip away all of that stuff, you're basically saying like the Bud stamp of approval really is what keeps people coming back.
Right. So over time, we're like, hey, we can continue to carry our stuff in third-party packaging, or hey, let's make a deal and we'll keep buying it in bulk, and we will sell way more of your product.
Exactly.
What do you want? You know what I mean? Like we can do both. Right. Or let's make some real money and let's push out more weight of your product. And we still highlight it. We say, hey, grown by our buds at M1,
right,
grown by our buds at Local Roots. And like you're still highlighted on our website and every description. And even on the wholesale sales side, whenever someone's buying our product on Apex, or even when we send a menu, if you're not on Apex and we're emailing it, it is highlighted in everything. Even on your invoice at QuickBooks, it is in parentheses who each cultivator is. There is transparency at every level of it. There's no secrecy, because that is the whole point of it. We want everybody to know who we work with, because we're proud of who we work with. We specifically want you to know who we work with, because we tried it. We love them.
Well, had there been instances where it just, the quality kind of wasn't there?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, we know it. And there's times where like, we've had even just a few instances where, things, hit the shelf and the customers are like, ooh, and we were like, oh no, and especially, there's been times where, we went to a grow, looked at some buds, like, hey, yeah, okay, we'd like that. Ordered a bunch, and then what was sent to us was not the same. So that was disappointing.
Like the nice plants out front, so you look at them.
It's like, okay, the first few pounds were what we wanted, and then the rest of it was not yet the best. Yeah, and you got a lot of stems and stuff, or a lot of like, it was really popcorny, but you showed us a lot of AB buds, and then we got a lot of like C's. So that's happened before. It was just, or the quality wasn't so fresh, where we were promised like, yeah, this is testing data, but then like the harvest date was really old.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I think I definitely brought this up in the podcast in the past, which is, as a brand, especially flower brands, I feel you don't really get to control freshness as much as you would like, because you might have sent it to them, a week after curing and everything, after packing it. They could have got it the first week, first drop or whatever. They may not have gotten it on the menu for 2 weeks after that. Exactly. And then like it sits around because it's a slow moving store. So 4 months goes by and it's been sitting in that bag or jar for, 6 months at this point or whatever. You don't have control at some point. Like, do you guys ever think about like how to, because now you're doing wholesale, right? How many stores approximately are you in right now?
47 storefronts.
47. That's a very specific number. So how do you have like SOPs or some kind of internal process in your brain even to like how to control those things? Or do you guys sell so well you're like, it's flowing, so
So with that too, like I have check-ins with like my specific people like for the flower level, right? Because flower is really that. Like I have a limited number of stores that we actually have like our flower program in where I really watch it and I go within like usually a 60-day mark, I'm checking in on certain things. I'm like, hey, let us know if something's not other than 60 days because we'd rather take it back and refresh it out. Because the beauty of us having retail is I could sell it somewhere.
right, exactly.
That's the other thing about it.
Exactly.
So that's
I can put it at a price point that's going to move.
Exactly.
We'll get it.
Rather than us having to discount something that's expiring or old and credit you back, we'll take it back. We can sell it through our retails, no sweat off our back. Like that's just how we roll. And I think that's the beauty of us having the other side of our business.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, because the retail definitely helps in that situation.
Yes.
But I think, I also hear the other side of that, which is if you have retail, the big bad word reciprocals come up all the time. If there was one thing you could probably eliminate from this industry, would it be reciprocals?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. And that's like the huge pain point for me is right now is like just getting into this. People are like, okay, well, what about recips or what about dollar per dollar? And I can't stand those conversations because our always pushback is, how about opportunity? We don't like the word reciprocal. Our pushback is we don't like reciprocal. We like to do partnerships. We like to do tryouts. Not a reciprocal. Let's just do a partnership. How about we try each other out at the same time? How about we try your best products? You try our best products for the first 60 days. We meet about it. We share data. We discuss it. And then, after 60 days, if it's not working for you, then you don't have to carry it again. But if it's working for you, please keep carrying it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if it's not working for us, we won't. No harm, no foul. But we're just going to be trying that out. But it should not be dollar per dollar, invoice for invoice. And some people are very hardline about that.
Yeah.
But we're really about partnerships, not reciprocals.
Right.
But I do wholeheartedly believe, we've been in retail first for so long. So, I am approaching people that we've worked with retail and be like, hey, you have retails too. We've been buying your product from retails. Like, how can we get on your shelves? And it's been interesting when people are like, oh, what about reciprocals? I'm like, where is this coming from?
Right.
Reciprocal when? Well,
I think some brands or some cultivators who think they have a brand, but maybe don't have the brand, but they have at least weed, they're probably desperate to get on shelves, right? So they're going to push back hard to be like, I need to get on this person's shelf. If they want in, here's my leverage now. Right.
But it also like really, pigeonholes people, right? Because then, you can really see, and like, honestly, for me, it's very transparent where reciprocals lie on people's menus, right? I can look on this person's page and this person's page, and depending on the saturation, you can see it.
You can tell.
Well, who's in with who.
I think that was one of the big fears. And I think the groups, one of the trade groups, Mass Eon, a couple of their members have definitely mentioned this before, which I'm going to paraphrase this, and I apologize if I get this wrong a little bit. Kevin, come on the podcast. What are you doing? But basically that the big fear is that like, if you go to 4, 5, or 6 stores, it'll be reciprocal world. It'll just be like, hey, all right, all these stores, we're going to take your products and you're going to take all these products, and all the small brands will just get eliminated because it's just going to be swapping products basically back and forth to all these other stores.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see where people are worrying about that. I think that's a tough like phase about that. I know.
Well, we're in a weird position right now in Massachusetts cannabis, so.
Yeah. Especially with the push for like the 4th license. It's like, I'm all for, people having more, I think, equity in that, it's tough capping that because, you look at other places where like, and I've listened to like some other episodes too. So like, I see like the pluses and minuses, right? It's tough when you cap licenses because you're also capping people's ability to make more money.
Right.
So that's one avenue, right? You're capping the people's ability to grow their own finances where we're already not making enough money as this.
Exactly.
Right. But so that you don't want a monopoly. So like, oh my gosh, we're stuck one way or the other. But the reciprocal thing, like it's just you're capping people's ability to make the freedom of buying power decision, but also then now I feel like you're really dictating what consumers really are buying. And you're not really giving consumers, I think, what they want. You're telling consumers, ooh, this is what's good, but is it really what's good?
Right.
You're just putting something in front of their face and not really giving them like maybe necessarily what's quality.
Right.
You're just saying, ooh, I'm buying this because they're buying from me. That's not necessarily good product. Not saying that's bad product. I'm just saying this is maybe not necessarily the best product. It's just like like, we're just making deals here because this is just money flow for me, not necessarily good product.
Yeah. And I feel like so you guys have been in this for a while now, 5 years, like you said. And I feel like you guys have learned some hard lessons over the years. But what keeps on coming back up in my head is that for better, for worse, actually for worse in most ways, like the consumer and the adult use side has been trained to look at the high THC.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this came up on one recent podcast where we basically were like, well, once we put a number on it, because if it was your plug on the corner or whatever, like your buddy, whatever, they weren't testing it like, oh, this is 32% or whatever. This is like, hey, this is really good weed and like you should smoke it. And it might have been like 18% and it was still fire and everybody loved it and stuff like that because of smell and taste and everything. But once you put a number on it, with test results like 32, everybody's just like, that's the one I want, because if I'm going to spend, back in the day, $50 for an eighth, it better be 32% then, because I'm going to get the most value, right?
Exactly.
Regardless of how it actually makes you feel.
Yeah, right. And now if you walk into a bud store, actually, behind every counter, our bud tenders for our 14-gram flower program have a list of in order of highest terps. We train our staff to educate on terps. We're trying to help pivot the education
Beautiful.
Around terpenes.
But somebody's working on this.
Especially now that most cultivators are testing for terpenes. And 90% of the cultivators, I would say almost 95% of the flower cultivators we work with have terp testing on it. So about once a week, we update kind of like a Word doc sheet, and then we filter it in order of highest terp flower.
And you make little cards?
Yeah, make a little sheet card. So there's like one sheet behind the bud tender counter. So when someone's coming in, they want, our half ounces, our top selling flower programs. Now all the staff are educated to be like, all right. And now it's really, changed customer buying habits of people coming, all right, what's got the highest terps? So we've really seen a change, I would say the last 6 months in a lot of our consumer buying, because people are coming in for terps and really, shopping for that experience versus like the tag chasing. There's still a lot of that, but we're seeing it. And even my father-in-law, he used to come and get the highest tag stuff. And he's funny. He's 71. He's an old school biker. He's in bike and he still rides his bike even in the winter. Every day rides his heart, starts it up. So finally, I think a few weeks ago, I finally got him into terps. So it's so funny. He shops at Buds about twice a week. So finally he's coming in and he's like, he's gone into terpenes and it's changed. Like,
it's made a difference.
It's made a difference. Yeah. And so it's really crazy when you actually educate someone, they listen, and then they actually start picking up on it and they try it and they feel that difference. They see that and they're like, oh my gosh, I'll never shop by tack again. Yeah. And it's so cool. So yeah, I think really getting that, just that extra, like, just one person in the building just needs to do it. Yeah. It's like 30 minutes a week. Just like, okay, hey, if anybody does any type of terp testing, just whoever's in the fulfillment room, inventory vault manager, whatever, just log whatever the terps are, put it on a Word document, print it out, put it behind the POS. It'll change everybody's consumer buying experience.
So putting on your wholesale hat, when you go to buyers, the buyers are asking, like, how do you convince a buyer that like the high terpene stuff is what the customers will actually want versus like, hey, can you just give me, I can imagine a buyer going to me like, all right, what do you got testing at like 28% plus?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I know.
Like, how do you fight that battle? Because in your own retail, you control that whole experience, right? But when you're talking about other retailers, how are you pitching that to buyers?
It's something I'm literally honestly chewing on. It's funny. I'm so glad you brought that up because I actually have a couple clients that literally have negotiated, which I'm like really chewing on and stewing on, because this was prior to me taking on this role, that they negotiated in their contract that depending on tack, they get different price breaks. It's just, it's just like, to me, like wild. I'm like, okay, if it's under 30% tack, we get it for this price. Over 30% tack, we get that. I'm like,
because everybody who's driving that's how the market was driven for the last 45 years. That's the problem, right? That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. It just broke my mind.
In this cycle of nonstop of like tack hunting.
It is.
And you get these people chasing the highest tack all the time. And I think that's one of the reasons why infused pre-rolls are like a big seller for a lot of people, because it's just like, all right, I can get a 65% pre-roll.
Yeah, it's just THC right to the brain.
Straight to the brain. Is that a good experience? I think a lot of connoisseurs would say, no, that's not really a great experience, right?
Exactly. But yeah, now, also specifically why I love like concentrates, right? Because I'm such a terp. I love the terps, right? I'm looking for that, like what's the main dominant terpene and stuff like that. I'm like, just all those types of things that you're looking into. So
are you guys looking at concentrates a little bit.
Really, I think vapes might be our next little thing too. It's a little easier for that. Concentrates, but I've been poking at that for years. Ben and I, Ben Nadolny, our COO, we talk about it all the time. I mean, we would if we could, but probably vapes.
Market's not quite there. Vapes are bigger.
Yeah, vapes are like, that's really like the next like level, neck and neck with pre-rolls and sales right now. So vapes, and then just expanding just more into our infused pre-roll line, just like format sizes. So
yeah, it makes sense because I mean the party packs I think make a ton of sense, but some people want those cannons and stuff like that too. So
yeah, exactly. You just got to have it. You just different formats. Yeah, people wanted this big, that big, minis, all the sizes. But yeah.
Yeah, and actually putting in your marketing hat for a second, like, are you constantly like surveying? Like, how are you getting feedback from customers to make some of these decisions?
Oh gosh, all the time. So I love, especially now because I'm in other people's stores, constantly in our stores, right? I float around sales floors all the time, just listening. Like when I go and visit other people's stores, right? I usually hang around for an hour on the sales floor. I usually talk to the staff, engage, just get to know them. But I like to float around and just kind of listen to the flow of conversations. I do talk to the customers. I observe just kind of, what's going on around the conversation. Just ask them what's going to, what they're buying, what they're into. Seeing, what other brands are kind of just doing in marketing and just like what's really caught, in the moment, and just even what the store's doing to catch that customer's eye. Cause just in that community too. Cause I love seeing what people are doing in that store's community. Are they pulling in like, different things from that community, right? Cause some people do, community specific things. They market, into that community. Just
There's some really good stores that do that, like CNA. I know they're huge. Every month they do Rob was telling me this on the podcast, every month they do a new charity.
Right.
And when the tips come in, they're tipping in the charity.
Right.
And it rotates, and it's like a lot of local stuff.
Yeah, and it's so cool like how people they bring in something with the community and to make it personal. Like that's what draws in that customers, right? And it's like that's why people are coming to their store. So it's like I'd love to learn like at each specific store, like what makes those customers come there. Like what is it, the product, or is it the experience, or what is it, the bud tenders, and finding out all those little isms, right? And understanding what makes the magic happen in that little space. So I always like to find like what makes every little place magical.
So, but do you use any other tools? Do you use like a Learn brand sometimes?
Learn brands, yeah, a little bit on that. But honestly, it's just tapping into like, it's just really like boots on the ground and being around like people teach you a lot, and people spark so many ideas. And honestly, especially in this industry, like people really people in cannabis bring the most, I think, energy and ideas. And sharing a joint is honestly the most ideas generating experience sometimes on that. So much comes out of that. And honestly, I'll walk on the sales floor. Just the other day, I think it was yesterday, I was joking with the staff in Abington about something, and I couldn't remember what started the conversation, but I needed a new marketing campaign, and I was like, it was for like the next few months out, but I was like, you know what, guys? I was like, here's a little couple. I like to drop a little couple ideas. It's like, you know what? I'll come back in a week, and I know about 5 you will have a new campaign idea for me.
Yeah.
And I just like to throw things out there. I was like, hey guys, let's start churning this out. Like I'm thinking a team group thing, and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Like, what do you guys think? And I will bring other people into the ideas. I'm like, what do you guys think about this? Like, what do you think? So I'm like, it's not just a me thing, Sometimes it's like it's a community. What does the community think about?
Well, because they're hearing other things too.
Yeah,
they're hearing things from their friends and family. They're hearing things at different events, or they're going, shopping themselves, right? Because I know for a fact. I mean, we don't have a retail, but a lot of basically all my staff, they're going constantly to other stores, and they're seeing how people are, different displays and all this. They'll come back and like, yeah, I saw this display over at Bud's Goods or whatever, and it was like this, and it was really cool. We should try something like that, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of feeding system of like just always more and more ideas.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we do a lot of ideation and less execution sometimes.
Yeah.
But and that's not a knock on the team. The team, I love you. You guys execute great. It allows me to do stuff like this, a podcast, while you guys are continuing to execute. But I do feel like sometimes I'm like, I've got all these great ideas, and then it's just like, maybe not. Like it's kind of some, a lot of film gets, left in the cutting room floor in a sense. But I actually, a selfish question for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, you may not think is related, but it is very related. Is the flower consumer different than the edible consumer?
For the majority, yes, I think so. I think there's like definitely like almost like a little bit of a Venn diagram, right? I think there is a part of the Venn diagram, right, where they meet in the middle. I used to, back in my heyday, I used to make and sell edibles on the side. Have my own little thing, back in the day.
Caregivers, though.
And I still do for fun. And like I'm a heavy flower, concentrate, edibles consumer. And then there's people that edibles is their jam and they can't consume flower, right? And that just
That's kind of me. That's why I'm asking in a selfish way, because I'm just like, I don't think I'll ever really be a flower person because one, puff it, I'm toast.
right. It's just some people just they can only like like a little J, like a 0.35 is like all they can, like a dog walker type of style that all
Well, because I say that because you brought up the fact that like it's great to just like have a joint and like talk about ideas and stuff like that. Like I can't participate in that because I would be under the table if I was to share a joint.
And like that's okay though, and I think people need to normalize that that's okay though in this industry. And I think there's also people need to stop shaming people for not being able to smoke.
Tolerance or whatever you're
like people like tolerance shame, and like people need to stop that too. It's okay that you can just rock on a fire.
Hear it. I don't hear the tolerance shame, and now I think it's because they're saying it behind my back.
Yeah.
That I'm such a weak.
They do it like a little bit because I'm in the retail world. It's like they don't like in the retails people do because it's just like retails. Everybody has that little like they'll joke around like, what do you mean you can't say like that? You can't take a 1 gram free roll to the face. It's like like because we hire so many different people, right? Some people are like, oh, I only prefer edibles, or just have like a little vape at night. Like let's take like 1 hit of a vape at night, and that's all they need to like go to sleep. Yeah. I'm like, and that's okay. They're a consumer. Yeah. They're a consumer. They're part of the industry,
and they're purchasing products.
Yes, but they're well versed. They're educated. They're able to pitch everything. They are able to sell our entire menu, all of the brands, just as good as you are, to everybody else that walks through the door, and that's what matters to us. But so no, there's still like I think a little bit of like how hard can you hang type of thing. You know what I mean? People like to peacock, Yeah,
exactly. That bravissimo. Mm-hmm. Everybody's just gonna like puff up their chest. Like, I could take 100 milligram edibles.
Exactly. I could take a bigger dab than you. So and I always will be. But I know I think it's still cool. Like people can just rock on edibles. Like I used to like edibles have always been my jam. Like I was really sick in college and I had to only exclusively use edibles. Like smoking. When I had my gallbladder taken out and I had a couple of surgeries too, like smoking made me cough too much and would convulsively vomit. So like because of like the contraction, so edibles were the only thing that I could take for a very long time. So I grew such an appreciation for edibles and like what relief that gave me. So like I'm like, you can't really knock it if that's only
got it. The method. Yeah, you still got what you needed out of it. Because I often think about. It's because I hear about these great flower stories all the time. Now I have this podcast for over a year now. And it's just like, I hear all these people be like dabs and all those other things. And I was like, oh, dabs, maybe I could do something like that. And then because you can turn the temperature way down. Yeah. You get more flavor. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It less the
so it really like preserves the terpenes and stuff like that, like a low temp dab. Yeah.
Yeah. But the low temp dabs though, you're wasting a lot of material, right?
Not necessarily. It also depends. I mean, you can always do it like in like a Puffco or like a pivot. You can always do that too. So like, especially because it's on a shorter cycle run, you can always rerun it again. Granted, it burns off some stuff, but you can always rerun it again too if you have any material left over. So you can kind of cycle through again.
Okay.
So it depends. If you're doing it on a rig, you'd waste it. But in a Puffco, you could rerun it. So.
Got you. Yeah, because but then it's just like there's gear involved, and then there's like concentrates. We don't actually make concentrates here, so I'm like, I don't know. We're in the tiniest of tiniest categories.
Yeah.
Tinctures. I think I looked at the numbers the other day. It was like 1.5% of the market. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
In flowers, like 70% still or something.
But
crazy.
It was crazy to see, like, when you guys hit the market, you guys actually like blew out the water of the tincture category. Like tincture category like barely existed, but when your stuff hit the market, you actually made the tincture category exist.
Yeah, I did see that in headset data, which was interesting because we don't subscribe to headset, but headset data is public. Mm. And you'd see the tincture category up like 300% or something like that. And we're like, oh, that's cool. Like, it's just good to see that, people like the product and they're
because I mean you've been with Floods for 5 years and I track like every quarter we'd see like okay dollar per dollar like what's the growth on this category, and it's like tinctures literally had the biggest category growth year over year once we picked up Good Vibes. It's like well hell yeah, because that was the first time people actually would try something in a new category, because granted it's more like an edible but it fits in the tincture realm, and like it actually expanded people into a new category. And it got people to try stuff. And like, it's really cool of like how people get to cross sell it and try things. And then especially for it being something that's like, hey, if you got a high tolerance or a low tolerance, use it however you want and all the flavors. But it was really cool of like seeing a new category take off.
Yeah, and it was a lot of education.
Yeah.
It's a lot of education because, for our perspective, we always think about ourselves as like a drink mix-in still, because that's how we started, is drink mixing.
Yeah, that's what the good
And now, but this one you can take it straight. So it's like a little bit of a difference. But, one of the things that we're always struggling with is nobody's searching for tinctures. Nobody's going online like, I want a tincture today. No, they're talking about gummies and stuff like that. Gummies is still like 12, 15 times larger than us, right? So yeah, we're still in the tiniest of segments. But what is actually the future looking like for you guys? Like on all fronts, like obviously you got marketing campaigns kicking off, you got new product development happening, and obviously you're hitting the road, but.
I'm excited. So my little baby that I've been keeping close to chest is launching this month is like a new program across Mass. We're doing a Jay's Double Down Day. So starting on the 20th of every month, our little Jays will be buy one, get one for $1. So I'm really excited for that. So all stores that carry little J's, whether it's our retails or any retail partner, you can get little J's for buy one, get one for $1.
That's wild.
So I'm excited because it's something that I was cooking up for a while. Glad it got approved. So I'm really excited to see what our creative team designs, because I had some like really crazy ideas for some like little marketing stuff. So I'm really excited to see what the assets look like. And I think every quarter we're going to get really creative and funky with like just different like branding and assets and make it really fun. And we're going to do like pop-ups around the state and just, do like giveaways and just make it like just this like all over brand takeover on the 20th of every month. We're making our own holiday.
20th of the month.
It's like a pre-roll celebration, that's what I wanted to be, is like to celebrate pre-rolls. We also kicked off this year with select wholesale partners a recycling program. We've been doing that in our own stores. We're trying to reduce cannabis waste packaging. Something that we've been doing for 2 years in our stores with Little J's is recycling of tins. So what we do is for customers, we have a stamp card program. So for every visit, our Little J's come in a metal tin. So you get a little stamp card, and it's actually like pre-roll shaped little stamps that we stamp. So you can return 1 tin per visit. You get a little stamp. After the 10th recycle, you get a Little J's for $1. Now we retail them for $30. So it's a pretty good deal.
It's a good deal.
So you get one of your choice for $1, and then it starts over again. So after every 10th recycle, you get another one for $1.
Do you guys ever worry about that? Remember that memo that came out about pennying out things and stuff like that? Did you guys were even phased by any of that?
We did like pause for a second, and then we just went back to it because at the end of the day, like we're still charging people for cannabis.
Yeah, but it's also like, who gets to decide how much I charge for something?
Exactly. And like
that's the most.
It's that like, we went through this thing when I was working in Rhode Island too. Rhode Island did the same thing, where they actually tried to say that it was, I can't remember the terminology they used, but very similar thing happened that when we were literally sampling out expiring product for staff, and they tried to say that was, against
diversion or something.
Yeah, literally like diversion, that we were like pretty much just stealing weed from the company. We're like, first of all, it was expired weed that we were going to be wasting. The staff decided to take it on the day of expiration, which was, allowed. And it was something that was allowed before. So all of a sudden the state was like, no. And it was just such a nightmare of it too. So I've gone through it before, and it was sad to see it happen again, and this whole panic and everything like that. And just the vendor sample issues and that. Yeah. So it's like, we paused for like a month, went back to it. So now we continue to, take out penny products and stuff like that, cash out. So we still we don't take vendor samples. So if people send us products for staff at a penny, we sell it to them at a penny.
Good.
Things like that. So for like staff rewards, whenever, like we do like incentives sometimes, like, whoever sold the most of this product for a week, you get that item for a penny or whatever. We do those challenges too for products.
Yeah, because that's one of the benefits of having retail. Yeah. Because we don't have a retail. Yeah. So we make the product, and I can't even get my own product.
I know. That's
I have to figure out all right, do I call somebody? Because if we, do I sell it to the penny for them? Or I end up paying full price more often than not. Just I'm like, it is what it is.
Well, phone a friend, call us. Yeah.
Well, no, but the point is our sleep drops is like our Lemon Dream sleep drops. I use them religiously. So it's like, if I don't have them, I'm like, I want to sleep through the night. I want to wake up fresh. I want to be fully rested. So it's like, for me, I need my sleep drops. That's why I developed the product, because I actually consume it myself. Like,
just literally, you could really just send it to us at our penny, and then we'll literally be like, hey, this is Jason's. He's coming in to go get it, and we'll stash it out for you. That's no problem at all.
Appreciate that. So looks like there's a bunch cooking on in the future. Any last kind of like shout outs or anything else before we wrap here?
No, I'm just super proud of like the team, the development. We just got a good group of people that work for us, and I'm like so grateful to work with a company where there's like a lot of internal growth and development, and like it's just awesome to see it take off. Now we're in New Jersey. It's just insane. Yeah, we're looking to see if we're getting a retail there. So we're starting. Obviously, Cam's now doing over there doing the buying for Mass in New Jersey now. They just took on that. So we just got production kicking off now. They just started there. So got our eyes to start with one retail. We'll see if we can find a spot. So starting to, spread our roots a little bit. But right now it's just Mass in New Jersey. So really just seeing where the rest of 2026 takes us. And we're really excited to see where the rest of the year shakes up.
That's fast. It's going by fast. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Hennessy.
No, thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.